Hello, welcome to the Hard Reset. What just happened?
He's like, I don't know what I'm doing with my hands or whatever. And they push his hands back down, and he's like, car felt like it was floating on air. It's like his hands would come back out. It's like one of my favorite parts or whatever.
Ricky Bobby. Okay, so let's talk about. What is this person's name? It's the new. Sam Brinton. Have you seen Sam Brinton? I will. Let's put there's Sam Brinton. Yeah, this guy. He's going to be our new appointed Deputy Assistant Secretary of Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition. So basically, he's going to tell
Office of Nuclear Energy
everybody about how to dispose of their nuclear waste, not only in the U.S. but other countries also. So he's the spokesperson. He's that guy that we're going to send. Or no, I can't call him a guy because he doesn't claim to be a guy. I hate to sound like a jerk. I'm just sound like a jerk just because sometimes I can't. Well, he is a guy, but he's not saying he's a guy. So
non-binary?
Yeah.
Or something is what they call it.
And he likes to dress guys up as dogs and leather stuff. And also another disturbing thing that I saw that he had said or done was he was, when I meet people, this is how I greet them. Hi, my name is Sam, whatever his last name, Brinton. Yeah. And these are my pronouns. So, I mean, there's obviously a mental issue right there in the first place. If when you meet somebody, you can't just simply say, hey, my name is such and such. But now you want to tell them how they need to address you, like you're a king.
I mean, you can do that
or something like that.
But my thing is, by all means, you can tell them you're a dishwasher, and you want to be addressed as such.
Somebody's got to wash dishes, right?
You know, dishwasher is in like the metal dishwasher, not like he's a person washing dishes or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But when it comes to like foreign policy and like dealing with other countries, I hope the Biden administration realizes that that's not going to that's not going to go over well in foreign countries.
No, you cannot take that guy serious. There's no way.
Well, that's again. I mean, I mentioned a little bit before about it's not very professional, or it's not. It doesn't. Not. You know, again, and I'm sure there's going to be all these people saying, well, it doesn't matter. You know, you shouldn't judge him or whatever.
No, there are a lot of people that's come out and they said, well, you can't judge him about that, but he's well qualified. I don't see that he's well qualified. It looks like
that was my,
not even close.
That was my next question is from what I'm seeing is he is, I mean, he's, you know, got a background, I guess, in it a little bit, but he is not by any means somebody that I would think that would be a political appointee for the government.
No, he's not. He's not even the guy he's not the go-to guy. There's probably 100 other actual go-to guys. It's kind of just little simple things like if I want to get my brakes done, I'm not going to go to this guy based on I like the color of his lipstick. I'm going to go find the guy that actually has been doing brakes for X amount of years and is solid about it and knows what he's doing. Not just go to this guy because he's going to stand out or be some sort of a puppet figure or look at me. I don't know how to even describe that.
Inclusion.
Just, yeah. And I think that's the only reason why he's put in that place was, hey, look, I'm growing the circus. I'm making the circus. I mean, again, for me,
it goes back to, you know, you're talking about the president being more or less the leader of the free world and you know, should be able to how they should choose it and how they've chosen in the past is whatever said area that they appoint this person for. Yeah, they are the who's who of the United States for said area.
Yeah, this guy is definitely, I don't think he's the guy.
You know, like I said, that before in previous administrations, okay, if somebody was appointed as, you know, a secretary for something, say it is something to do with nuclear waste disposal, that person usually has spent years in that industry and they've done all aspects of it. So not only do they have a degree in it, probably from some Ivy League school, but they've also taught it. They've done field work. In other words, they, prior to them being a political appointee, they worked for businesses that go to Iran or, the Middle East and, on a consulting firm or whatever it is. And they've been in those positions before where they went and they gave suggestions on how to do this, either being hired as a private, contractor or being some kind of, but they've done all facets of them. Usually, and most of those guys, a normal political appointee, usually, if you look at their background, most of them had been doing whatever it is. They've been doing it for like 30, 40 years.
Right.
And in that process of 30, 40 years, they're not just like the technician guy that's trying to get a paycheck or try to get a retirement. They've literally become like the leader of that industry. Industry magazines for like whatever, nuclear waste disposal is going to have this guy in their magazine, if that's such a thing. I'm sure it is. But this guy's going to be well known within the industry. He's going to be innovative. He's going to be like whatever. Something usually like that is what grabs the attention of the White House to make them like a political appointee. Why? Because you want the absolute who's who, the best person for that job. Because again, foreign policy wise, he's going to be doing the issues, domestic issues, but like with waste disposal, probably the majority of his job as part of like the Department of Energy is he's going to be going to these other countries and, telling them how to, when they don't have protocols like OSHA and all this type of stuff where they're, places like India and other places where they're just dumping hazardous waste out into, rivers. He's going to go out. He's going to be the guy that goes there and says, okay, we have a great idea how you can buy these scrubbers or whatever. And the United States government would like to extend our hand and we'll give you however many thousand, $1 million or whatever to help you buy these things. So you essentially aren't ruining your own country with nuclear waste.
Right. Yeah.
So you're going to be giving these, you're going to be in more or less in a representative role of the United States goodwill towards these other countries of how they can clean up their nuclear waste. Yeah. Because nuclear waste, of all things, nuclear waste affects everybody. Or, eventually you're going to have a whole planet covered up with, nuclear waste because they just don't know how to dispose of it.
Well, I hate to sound like a jerk, but this guy looks like he got into some nuclear waste.
I will be the voice of reasoning. Is that just the picture, though, that they're running? Is that how the guy looks like right now as the appointee?
No, I'm sure he probably,
again,
I'm sure he took off his dress and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, again, if he wants to wear a dress on his days off, that's fine.
Yeah. Like I said, man, you can go.
But here's the big issue. So actually, it's not even like, what's he smoking there? I don't know. And how does he expect anybody to take him seriously? So kind of funny when I first met Justice's mom's parents, at that point in time in my life, I painted my fingernails black. And they were so worried about, oh my gosh, when you have to go to a PTA meeting at school, what are they going to think? You can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's kind of like my goth phase or whatever. And honestly, at that time too, I was a mechanic. Have you ever seen mechanic fingernails?
Oh, yeah.
They're disgusting.
Black. Oh, yeah. So why fight it? Those things.
Well, I'll just throw in some black fingernail polish.
Yeah.
Also, I have some utility kilts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which some people will call it a skirt, whatever. And funny.
Yeah.
Which, that's fine. But you know what I'm not doing? I'm not claiming that I don't have a penis or a vagina. I'm not claiming that.
Well, you're also not being politically appointed to like one of the highest offices, based on what.
No, exactly. And also I'm not forcing anybody to agree with anything that I'm doing. Yeah. It's just
same thing with this. Again, this guy, as far as I'm concerned, he can do whatever he wants.
No, he can. Yeah.
But with that being said, it's just, and again, and it's, I can literally feel it shooting through the comment section or whatever about you shouldn't judge somebody.
No, and that's why I brought up the fact that I used to paint my fingernails and I still have kills and stuff like that, which, you know what, they're comfortable. I don't really care, but I'm not pushing that on anybody else though. At the same time, I'm also not walking up to somebody and saying, these are my pronouns and I don't identify as anything.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is,
so that sounds like
we're not putting ourselves out there to represent the United States in countries that are,
yes.
I'm sorry, Middle Eastern countries, they don't care about that guy's feelings. They don't care about his pronouns.
No, they're not going to.
You know, and it sounds absolutely horrid, but, you know, in Iraq in 2003, you know, beckoning back to my old days, if you were found to be homosexual, those guys were getting thrown off the roofs of building. And we stopped that. Soldiers, like, you know, American soldiers, whatever, stopped that. But that was one of those when it was during the lawless time. In other words, once Saddam was taken out of power. Mm-hmm. And I talked about, like, I think on a previous podcast about there was a period of time where it was a bit lawless over there because they'd been so repressed. They had all of these. They had a Sunni minority that was backed by Saddam Hussein. So they were the smaller group, but they were basically like the upper class. They were a society and they could do whatever they wanted. And they had the majority who was the Shia. And when all their guards, all those people were gone, all those old grudges of the Sunni guy that basically mistreated the, you know, 5 or 6 Shia guys because he could get away with it because he had guys in vans that if you said something about the Sunnis or whatever, they would come along and snatch you out of your house. When all that stuff was gone, brother, it got ugly.
Oh, I could imagine.
Guys were going in other people's houses and like murdering people you know, because over there too. And again, you know, I don't claim to know everything about, you know, that culture or whatever, but I obviously spent some time over there. Is they were very much about the like disrespect. Yeah. Like a slight. And they would take it very seriously. And if you were slighted, you know, if you were disrespected, if you were, so, you know, I would say somebody, but if you were, you know, within your clan or whatever, if you were somebody that was a little bit higher up and somebody else came along and, you know, basically disrespected you in front of people, it was bad. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. And they would, vengeance was theirs. That slight would, you know, that we would shrug off and be like, that guy called me a name and, you know, nothing happened. That was murdering words over there. And so when all that stuff went awry and that stuff was everything was free game, things of, you know, LGBTQ, whatever people over there were getting murdered. Like, no lie, they were getting thrown off the roofs of buildings. It was bad. So, and not to say that, you know, things have not changed, but a lot of those Middle Eastern countries, a lot of the Asian countries, you know, China, Japan are very traditional. Right. And that would not, you know, I don't want to hurt the guy's feelings, but they don't care about his feelings. Like, well, it's not about feelings. It's about, well, we have this goal that we need to accomplish and you're not, I don't think he's really representing. I would just think it would be not only a bit of a distraction, but if I was him, I would want to, you know, if I'm getting appointed this high position, I would want to put my best foot forward. If I'm representing you again, once you become a representative, it's no longer about you. You're trying to put your best foot forward for whatever, whether it's a business, whether it's the United States, whatever it is. Yeah. You're trying to present the best image because, you know, you're kind of selling your country. And, you know, doing that, just expecting people to, you know, change their opinions or whatever. I'm sorry. It's not going to work in the rest of the country or in the rest of the world. No, I mean, only places, only people or only places like that here in the United States does it work. Maybe some places in Canada, and some, you know, very open European countries. Short of that, I'm sorry. Like a lot of I wouldn't say our adversaries, but a lot of the places that we would deal with, say like nuclear, you know, waste, India, Pakistan, like all these essentially new nuclear powers. Right. Yeah. And there's some other that are up and coming too. So traditional Muslim countries, places like China are very traditional. Yeah. And that's where that guy's going to be going. All right. He's not going to be handling, you know, probably stuff here in the United States because we kind of got that under control. We are sending him out to be a representative so that he can help other countries. We offer aid to them to be able to clean up them dumping nuclear waste into their own drinking water. Right. He shows up there And again, not trying to judge, they don't care about his feelings, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's going to be a distraction, and it's a disservice to him if he is a very knowledgeable guy. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's something that I missed. And maybe he is the who's who of whatever he is.
No, let's just pretend that he is. Let's just say he is the who's who of all that, and he knows
it's going to
exactly
distract
what
from
he's
his
doing.
mission, his being able to, whatever, because they're just not going to take the guy seriously in the first place.
No, you can. Unfortunately, I don't think we should ever even put him in that position. So unfortunate for him, one, he's going to go to countries that are not going to respect what he wants them or how he thinks they should view him. And so, and again, on top of all that, I think the real issue here, so anybody's going to make the argument of, oh, he's well qualified. Look at his qualifications. Well, I don't really consider that well qualified, but people will try to make the argument. My argument is going to be, well, he may be qualified for it, but at the same time, he obviously has a mental issue where he says he's non-binary.
Okay, you can't say that. But
well, I'm just okay. Sorry, I will retract that. Where it says it's not binary. I can't even play along with that game.
I get what you're saying.
And we're going to expect other countries to play that same game. Thank you for reining that in, by the way.
Other countries think. Russia, for example, they definitely think that it's a mental illness issue. And people will argue that it's obviously not science and like whatever else, but I'll just argue the fact that it is science. It's not science that, for mental illness, but it is science that, the genders and whatnot. And that's going to hurt people's feelings.
Well,
that's how
when you're in that position, treat this guy. It's not about your feelings. It has nothing to do with feelings. You don't send somebody to another country about feelings when you're trying to figure out how to dispose of nuclear waste. You don't send somebody to another country about feelings when you're trying to figure out how to deal with a border. It has nothing to do with feelings. It has to do with hard, solid facts. And again, if you portray yourself as a person that has, I'm just going to say it again. If you portray yourself as a person that has mental issues, then that's not the person that I want. I'm not going to hire the person to do my taxes that appears to have mental issues. What's going to go wrong there? Who knows? And that's just a really minor thing. That's not nuclear waste. So
we might get a lot of clicks just because of the fact that you keep using the word mental illness.
Well, I don't know what else to call it and be polite.
A lot of people will say that it's not a mental illness. He's just being himself, whatever. Again, if that's what he wants to do, by all means. My thing is, and this is going to sound very old school, but you have to dress for the job. You have to dress for the job in order to take it seriously. By our, most of these places that he's probably going to be dealing with are not real friendly to the United States to begin with.
Right.
Most of the countries that want nuclear weapons or have nuclear weapons, like India and Pakistan and Iran and, North Korea and all these places, that's the places where if we get an opportunity, he's the guy that we're going to send in that tries to help them dispose of their nuclear stockpiles or dispose of their nuclear waste.
Right. Yeah.
And so they're a bit adversarial to begin with us. And then this guy shows up. Right.
Okay.
And that in itself could be even misconstrued as a slight. Like basically we're sending a clown, we're supposed to be having a serious meeting. And if they don't understand, we're sending this guy in there. And so is it like, are we doing this on purpose? Are we rubbing in this guy's, in Pakistan's face?
And that's why I said earlier, I think it's going to be a disservice to him and our country to send him somewhere where he's not going to be respected and expect people to respect his. See
that this whole thing is probably going to everything we just talked about right here. Well, we're going to be screaming at the screen and saying
they probably will. And you know what? It has nothing to do with
unless we're racist or we're bigots or we're whatever. We're not inclusive or whatever. But
no,
it is what it is. I mean, it does not change the fact.
No, and actually, if people want to have a discussion about it, again, it has to be a discussion. It can't be a fight, a fist fight about it. It can't be a call each other names. It's like, okay, well, tell me why he's qualified and tell me how it is that he can go on the world stage with, unfortunately, having a different opinion about how certain mechanics and biology and life actually works.
He can demand that they address him any way he wants.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean that they're going to address him that way.
They're probably not going to.
And who is he going to run to? I mean, I think the media here or whatever in the United States may back him and be like, oh, they're, everybody in Russia or everybody in Pakistan's, the bigotry is large there or whatever. It's like a real, it's a real thing. These, they won't even take this guy seriously. But it ain't going to matter to Pakistan or Russia. Well, they're going to be running that same picture that you have. They're going to be running all over, Al Jazeera or, the Russian news media over and over again about how the United States sent, a clown to have a serious talk. And, honestly, that's how they're going to run this thing. Right.
No, they are going to. And unfortunately,
it's a sign of weakness.
Even that article that I ran or I showed you.
Yeah.
And that was the big point about that article was it had nothing to do with his qualifications or anything like that. What it had to do with was he might just be the first non-binary person ever appointed to this position. And that was their big piece. That was their big coming out point. It's like, wow. So you didn't want to vet the guy. You didn't want to talk about how he was qualified. You didn't want to come up with the fact of other countries cannot take this seriously. And then, like I like to keep saying, and sorry, but I'm just going to keep saying it. He's got a mental issue. Been a
keynote for
but it's one of those things. It's like, seriously, you cannot just ignore that fact or try to candy coat it.
Yeah,
and expect the American public or even the rest of the world to take him seriously.
That has been the highlight of this administration, though. Biden, when he said he was going to, run for president, I'm going to have the first female black vice president.
Yeah, again, and he got that wrong. She's not even black. She's Indian, so actually she's Asian, and her father is from Jamaica.
Yeah,
so he got that wrong.
So that limited his pool of who he was going to have.
Yes, which is that's best, racist, right? And that's in my opinion.
Then they step up and they, he's talking about appointing, on the last podcast we talked about him appointing Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, so
and he wants a black female Supreme Court justice. Again, nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
When you're talking about the highest court in the land, it limits your candidates if that's what you're wanting to do. And if anything, isn't that a bit racist to somebody that might possibly be more qualified? Like that position.
So Corey, I can't run an ad in the newspaper right now and say that I need somebody to come in and help me run my business, but I'm only accepting Asian females. I can't say that.
No.
Also, I can't say that I need somebody to come in and help me run my business, but only males are allowed to apply, or only Indians are allowed to apply. I can't say any of that because one, it's against the law, flat out. There's no twisting or turning around that. It's just flat out.
Yeah, there's discrimination laws.
Yeah, but somehow our president can do it all day long, and it's okay.
I'm sorry. The Biden administration is crumbling. It's crumbling in the sense that the numbers are showing right now that moderate liberal people are even turning their backs on, because it's literally, again, we talked about when I first seen this thing, I thought it was satire. Like, what I'm saying? It's like satire usually means that they go to the very extreme. Like they use an example of, maybe Biden's administration, one of the goals is that they wanted to be more inclusive. And so they bring somebody in, to be more, to have them, a certain person or whatever to be more exclusive. Well, the satire, the Saturday Night Live skit, they would run with it in order to be funny. They would do whatever the most extreme possible thing is. And there's, and they would make it a satire thing. I thought that's what this was satire. And then to add insult to injury, then it talks about all the stuff that he's into.
What if he wants to do that on his own time, that's fine. Everybody wants, do whatever he wants to do behind closed doors, whatever. That's fine. But as soon as you start making stuff public, then get ready to feel the wrath of the general public and what they think about your extracurricular activities.
Yeah,
I mean it's going to happen,
and that's literally all the way up until this point. Previous politicians has had careers ruined for less than that,
right? Yeah,
maybe he had an affair outside of his marriage or whatever. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not against the law, but some politician does that and it's front page news and he resigns and says, I wasn't faithful to my wife. That's happened.
Yeah.
And, suddenly none of that stuff gets talked about anymore. With this administration, you can apparently do whatever it is that you want to do right out in the open, right?
I am a unicorn fart. I
Something.
can do whatever I want.
I don't.
All right. Well, I think we've given him enough time and coverage. So let's go ahead and take a little break for a second and we'll come back with the next topic of the day. And, I really would like for people to dive in. I want to hear some comments. I want to hear what other people are thinking, because maybe I am way off, which, I mean, you've corrected me on a few things so far, and I'm probably going to fight with you. But I was like, no, I think I'm right. And of course, you're like, nope, you probably shouldn't be saying that, which is fine.
Absolutely. So, I mean, definitely, we would like some comments about, what your thoughts are. And again, enlighten me.
Yeah, maybe I'm missing something.
The one thing that, you got to know at least about me, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for Keith also, is I want my mind changed. If you bring an argument, I will listen. I mean, I may not agree, but I learn something from every comment, every argument that I've had with anybody. And I wouldn't use the term argument. It's more like a discussion. Yeah. We can have an open discussion. Keith and I both, if you blow our minds with some kind of information that we're not aware of, by all means, I'm not afraid to be like, you know what? I didn't have that information previously.
No, exactly.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I don't know everything.
Yeah. And there's lots of stuff that I don't know.
And there's so much news that comes out every day. It is so hard to, and as much as we'd like to, deep dive into it and find out every single piece. And that's why we call this entertainment, because it's entertainment.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we don't have all the facts. But if you have some facts, or if you have some knowledge that we don't, then let us know, please.
Put them down in the comments.
Let's have a discussion again. Not an argument. Don't be rude to each other and don't be mean about it. Just, hey, this is where I think you may be wrong, or hey, this is why I think you may be right. It's pretty simple. Yeah. Be adults about it. So
absolutely.
All right. I'm taking a break.